I've been making pottery for more than 25 years in studio level. I also used to teach ceramics I lived in Costa Rica for 5 years and taught ceramics there. And decided to specialize in pottery for food, for serving food. Actually, we got our start too from food magazines like Gourmet and Bon Appetit. Sometimes Robert comes to the studio and he looks around, and anything he sees, he seems to unearth things that are hidden in corners, or I don't know, where he just finds inspiration in the studio and pulls things out and says, this could be the beginning of something interesting. So then we kind of brainstorm together and we start making samples, and then the process begins. It's really exciting to work with him because he's just very creative. The ideas are there and it's fun to develop them and see how they evolve. I think the direction is going to be very exciting because I think these shapes, because they're so simple and organic, they suggest a handmade craft pottery feeling, as well as I think they would go in with someone's home who's a modern aesthetic or a traditional or classic aesthetic. And I think it lends itself to mixing with lots of different things, like if you had a rich pattern napkin or other pieces that you wanted to mix in with it. I think it lends itself to that. It's sort of open-ended palette that you could work with. I make them on the wheel, and then we make a mold of that one and then see where it's going, how it looks. How do I know it's right? It's just by firing it and using it, actually. Take it home, put food on it, put it in the dishwasher, see if it feels like it's working. It's a very personal, intuitive kind of thing. And then it's back and forth, of course, with Robert and his group at Pottery Barn. Their response is what they feel is right. So it starts with the clay and making the first models. We use either white clay or red clay, and it's a plastic clay so that we can model it either on the wheel or by hand. Some of the pieces in the collection actually are hand-built, like the canoe is hand-built. The footed cake stand, I remember when I first made that one, someone told me that they loved it because it was all kind of uneven. And I said, well, that's because I'm not, I throw a little bit off on the wheel, but that's the appeal of it also. It's like not perfect. It has its own character. And actually the production that we're doing now for this collection for Pottery Barn, you'll see those little variations and quirks in both the colors and the shapes. I don't think any two pieces are exactly alike, which is the charm of it. The goal here, and Robert stressed it and I had it embedded in my brain, we needed to as much as possible, get this collection to look handmade. Like, is it the way the studio pieces are somewhat irregular, that we wanted that feeling of the handmade pottery to translate, even though it was being done in bigger quantities. So we're constantly experimenting with colors. The cream, the cocoa, and the putty color, they're very soft, neutral, sort of earth material colors. I like the idea of mixing them up because the colors are kind of in a neutral earth tone family. People can decide how they want to do it. So you could get a whole set of dinnerware in cream, which would be the quietest way of doing it, I guess. Another way would be, layer it, like dinner plates in cream, salads in putty, and the bowls in cocoa, or the reverse. It really is very open-ended so that your customer can bring in some creativity. And at the store level, if your sales staff appreciates that aspect, they can actually help the customer figure that out and have some fun with it so that it's not just a static, you have to buy it this way, 16-piece set. They can mix it, and I think lots of other things they may already have at home could also layer nicely with it because of the neutral feeling of the colors and the shapes. It's quite an extensive collection, which I think will be fun for people. They have all these, funky accessories to play with. I think the pieces are all kind of multi-purpose. You could use them by themselves or together as a set. There's a salt and pepper set that's really cute, and it's in a boxed set, so even by itself as a gift, that's a very cool little item. And it's, I love the way of doing salt and pepper like this. It's just little open dishes. In the fall, pumpkins are a logical and wonderful choice, so it'd be really cool to serve a soup or some fall dish like a chili or a stew in this individual pumpkin. So you have it on your place setting, and it's great for guests to, have it looks like a real pumpkin. We aim for it to look as real as it can look, with a hand-painted stem and everything. And so they pull the lid off and they can eat their soup out of this wonderful organic pumpkin shape. And then we have a larger pumpkin tureen that could be the serving vehicle for a large stew or soup. or just to sit on the table looking great. And then we have pumpkin plates, which would be nice for a salad, a nice fall salad, or even dessert. You know, pumpkin pie on the pumpkin plate for dessert would be fabulous with whipped cream, matches the cream color matte glaze. So that's, you know, a wonderful way to serve when fall comes around. And I think because we did them in a matte, soft white, it'll look beautiful with the neutral colors of the studio collection. The inspiration comes from all over, just looking around me. And of course, each collection leads to something else. You know, you see a picture and say, well, what if we try a bowl in that shape? Nature is a big inspiration for me. And I do a lot of shapes that reflect nature, including shapes that are taken from nature, like pumpkins and leaf dishes and things like that. You know, you learn to see with an artist's eye, so you notice things that other people might not notice. So you never know where it comes from. You just have to observe.